Hey guys, so we recorded this episode the day before it was announced that Trevor Lawrence's top receiver, Clemson's top receiver, one of the top receivers in college football, Justin Ross, will be out for the entire season with a congenital fusion in his spine and his neck. So obviously that impacts Lawrence, that impacts Clemson, college football, and Ross, of course. So if you want to see our thoughts on that and how it impacts Lawrence as a prospect and everything else, go check out our last video breaking down the Justin Ross news.
And for a deeper look at Trevor Lawrence, what he's good at, everything, what he's not so good at, not much, enjoy the next 8 minutes of your life.
Welcome to another episode of Boom or Bust, the draft show. Max Chadwick alongside Tate Sigworth and PJ Clark. If you haven't seen it yet, we broke down the 2021 NFL draft in its entirety, kind of just like glossing over a little bit. This time we're diving into all the top prospects on a more deeper level. Of course, like the video, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications. Also comment. Tell us if we're dumb, if we're smart. Tell us anything we want. We want to hear from you guys.
Make fun of us. That's the whole point of this.
Please. And follow our Twitter at Boom or Bust Draft as well. So we're breaking down the guy who is probably top prospect right now, if you were taking positional value into account, Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Quick background on Lawrence before we really dive into him. He's 6'6", 220 pounds, number one recruit in 2018, second highest rated quarterback ever since Vince Young, who came out in 2002. In his 2 years at Clemson, won back-to-back ACC championships, made two national championship games. He's 25-1 as a starting quarterback, completed 65% of his passes, 6,900 yards, 66 touchdowns, 12 picks, also ran for 750 yards and 10 touchdowns. PJ, what makes this kid so good?
Well, it's kind of hard to say, right? Because you just rattled off he's good at everything, right? My key to Trevor Lawrence, he's a winner. That's just it. He's lost one game in college to quite possibly the greatest team in the history of the sport, the 2019 LSU Tigers. And we'll get to that game in a minute when we're talking about his negatives, the very few that there are. But the guy's a winner. He's lost 3 games since he became a starter in Cartersville, Georgia in high school. And this is a guy that has dominated throughout his entire life, and there is no reason to expect that it'll be any different this year, any different in the NFL. There is literally no evidence that's going to say otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, PJ is talking about it there. And Max, I hate to steal your thunder, but the bigger question is, what can't he do? Or what are his flaws? Because there's so few of them, because like PJ said, he's so good at everything. I mean, in the national championship, you thought, maybe the arm's not doing it. Or in the first round playoff game against my Buckeyes, you thought maybe the arm's not going to do it. And then he just breaks out like a 70-yard touchdown run. You're like, hold on a second. Where did that just come from? Yep. He is impeccable. He's got so many skills. And the list is too long. Okay, folks, the list is too long of the things that Trevor Lawrence is good at.
Yeah, size, arm strength, athleticism, decision-making, the production. PJ just mentioned he's a winner, and he's always lived up to the hype, too. This kid is a high school sophomore, was the number one player in the country. That is so much pressure for a 14, 15-year-old to have. He's lived up to it, man. He has so much pressure coming to Clemson, beat Alabama as a true freshman in the national championship game, lived up to the hype. Tate, what, if anything, though, do you want to see improved from Trevor Lawrence?
I've got 2 things here. The first one, you saw it in the first half of this past year. He had 8 interceptions in 7 games, which is not great. So maybe he's a little bit overconfident. Maybe, he let the hype get to his head. I'm, the best college quarterback that the world has seen since, I don't know, Jesus Christ himself, maybe. And he's just trying to make throws that aren't there, and that produced too many picks. He had those picks in those 7 games, and then he didn't have any for the rest of the year. So he, settled himself down and made the change. And my other thing is maybe struggles in the big time. I know he's won 1 national championship, but in that LSU game this past year, I mean, he was horrendous. He didn't even have a 50% completion percentage, no touchdowns in the air. Didn't throw any picks, so I guess there's that. But you got to show up in the big games.
I got 2 things as well. You took one of them right there. I'm a little bit worried that LSU game, the moment just got away from him, because that's definitely what it looked like. He was shaky in the first half. They even had a lead in that game early in the first quarter that completely went haywire just because he was missing everything left and right. He wasn't even making like just slants across the middle. He was having a really tough time against an LSU defense that, had Kayvon Chase on and a bunch of NFL secondary guys, but was not playing necessarily out of its mind. He was just struggling to make anything happen. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, it wasn't so much an issue this year when he ran more, which was something I liked. But his freshman year, he did fumble. He had 5 fumbles his freshman year. That's something just to keep an eye on in addition to the picks early on this year. He's not turnover prone, but it's been an issue. And if he's going to run, you got to be able to protect the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And my big thing with him, so I mentioned off all the things that are elite. The only thing I don't think is elite, like Joe Burrow level, is accuracy. I think he's got really good accuracy, which is still great, but not elite level accuracy. And Tate, you just mentioned it. I mean, he was bad in the first 7 games of the year. He was like a below average FBS quarterback in the first 7 games. Didn't even look draftable. LSU game, nightmare. No passing touchdowns, 49% completion percentage, like Tate, you said. Not great, but still, I think there's still so much that I love about him. So I got to ask the question I know is going to be on everyone's minds. PJ, where does he stack up as an all-time prospect, and how many quarterbacks do you think in the current NFL would you take over him to start a franchise?
I said this, if you watch the first episode, he's played 2 years. We don't even have like a sample size yet. This is ridiculous. And again, at this point last year, Tua Tagovailoa had the Heisman in his hands for last season and was the number 1 overall pick no matter what happened, right? And then he gets hurt. He struggles a little bit, and he falls to 5, doesn't win, and Joe Burrow becomes the greatest quarterback of all time. Heavy air quotes on that, Cam Newton. I'm still here for you. But we are anointing this kid so early, and he has lived up to every expectation. I understand that. I get that. But he's played 2 years. What if something goes haywire this year? What if he gets hurt and he doesn't even declare for the draft, God forbid? Why do we have to rank him now?
Where do you think he is now, though? Come on.
As of right now,
yes.
In 2 years,
that was such a cop out. That was a cop out.
It's a cop out.
What a cop out.
He's under Tua for me right now as a prospect. Ooh. He's only played 2 years. He's got a whole season to prove me and I fully anticipate he will prove that statement wrong. But right now he's under Tua, and who would I take over him in the NFL? I'd take Mahomes. I'd take Kyler. And if I know Tua's healthy, I'd take Tua. Those are my 3.
I mean, PJ said it himself. If he has exceeded and lived up to every expectation to this point, I mean, why not just keep going? Why not just keep rolling down the hill?
Yet. I don't know if it's even going to happen. He could retire tomorrow.
Sure, he could get hurt. Sure, he could have an off year. I mean, he's better than Burrow. He's a first overall pick, and some people are throwing out he's better than Luck. So he's certainly Trevor Lawrence is the best since Luck. You could go back to maybe even Peyton Manning. I don't know. My brain is trying to work who is between Manning and Luck. I mean, I'm just throwing names out.
We're naming Peyton Manning.
Hall of Famers.
We just threw Peyton Manning out.
Oh, here's the thing, PJ. I think out there. He's better. He's better than Peyton. I don't think he's better as right now. Right now, Peyton Manning, career-wise, probably have the better career. We don't know. But in the first 2 years of college,
not many people have had better careers than Peyton Manning.
In the first 2 years, I understand. PJ. But in the first 2 years of college, Peyton Manning hasn't done what Trevor Lawrence has done. John Elway hasn't done what Trevor Lawrence has done. Exactly. Andrew Luck hasn't done what Trevor Lawrence. PJ. As a prospect right now, I think he's the greatest prospect ever right now. If he keeps it going like he's been doing, he's the greatest quarterback prospect ever. Of course, big asterisk, he's got to keep it going. As a junior year, I think I would only take Mahomes over him to start a franchise right now. But that's all we got on Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback, QB1 for all of us right now. One of the best QB prospects.
Don't let him go to the Patriots. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be nightmarish for Bill Belichick. I mean, for everyone else in the AFC East, like PJ suggests, that'll be very nightmarish. So, of course, like and subscribe to our video. Turn on notifications. Comment who else you want us to see talk about more in depth, like we just did.
Pick our next video for us. Go, comment.
And follow us at Boom or Bust Draft on Twitter as well. So for PJ, for Tate, I'm Max. Have a good night.